And we're live. It's Tesla
Right.
Tracker and the Mattby.
Good morning, everybody. We're double teaming this thing before they double team us.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, today and tomorrow, right? There's the pre-game and then there's the big game.
Yep.
Trying to find. Let's see. I never seem to get the alerts for your shows when I'm looking for them.
There's always a lag. I don't know.
If I go right to your page, there it is, and
Yeah.
I'm retweeting it. You're live now. All right, come join us in the show. All right. Well, good morning, Mattby. Good morning, everybody watching us. It's 9:01, and we had some economic data that came out this morning, 8:30. I haven't actually looked at it. Probably Matt hasn't either, but we were watching macro to micro to macro. Jesse was looking at it, and he says it looks pretty good overall. So nothing sharply higher or lower. The E-Mini futures have gapped up overnight, and there's a little price gap there. I don't know. Do you want me to do my screen, or do you want to?
Yeah. I'll show your screen.
Okay.
Go to yours. Sorry.
Oh no worries. So here are the E-Mini futures, and if you look real closely, right here, there's a big old gap right there. So sometimes these things. So Matt and I were sort of talking just before the show, and I'm looking for one of two things. Either the market is just going to love what comes out tomorrow at 1 o'clock is when the data, the report comes out, and then 1:30 is when Powell speaks. But either it's going to just absolutely skyrocket from there, or the other trick they do is it does really well today, and then it sells off on the news tomorrow. And they'll say, oh, it was all priced in already. And we get a little bit of correction. Nothing, no new lower lows, but just a new higher low that makes us a nice, you're going to try to say, a lot of times you get a wave one, wave bottom, wave one, wave two, then you're in the third wave. And that third wave needs a smaller degree one, smaller degree two, to then give a smaller degree three, four, and that finishes all of your wave three there. So we already had this. This might have been like August 5th, and this might be the aftershock of August 5th. It's always going to be one of two things, right? Either things are just going to go crazy after the Fed minutes really, or after the decision is handed down, crazy up or crazy down, just for a little bit. And so Matt and I were talking about which way it might go. The E-mini futures are gapped up, which means that the SPY is going to open gapped up to, this is the all-time high. We'll just double check. Yep, 56.69. Yeah, what did I have this on daily? No. Yeah, and so we're very close. Maybe it'll just gap up and open right at the all-time high, is what Matt was saying. We're just under it, and maybe we'll get a new higher high today. I can't imagine it being coy all day. They like to run the stuff. Anyway, if they do, let's say they do run it up a little higher. These are my retrace. Let's say we get a new higher high, and then it could, if they want to go crazy down, whatever high we hit, it'll try to run it back down something like 382, 236, 618 retrace. Or if it gets really into the fear, 76.4. So that's why I've got this little teeny tiny little box that, maybe my SPX target, once we see whatever the high is at the close of today, I'll project this for tomorrow. So this is if we get this is the trick. And then of course it's just wherever it lands, it breaks out. Or we get the treat where it just keeps going and everyone loves it. And the retail will be looking back here, waiting for it to correct, and it never goes back down here. It never fills this gap, just like it hasn't filled this gap or these two stupid gaps down here. So that's what I'm watching for. What Mattby and I are both watching for. Well, mostly me, because I was talking about this too. If you follow Mattby and me, we were both talking about this. I'm kind of here supporting the day traders, and so I'm doing a lot of TA that's just like short term. But Mattby and Cat, they more look at things in the longer term. Nothing smaller than like the daily chart. Mostly, they like to see weekly candle closes and monthly candle closes, and they're positioned for the long run. They're not worried about whatever the market does tomorrow. But I'm just here trying to support everyone else that might care about what the market does tomorrow. All right, that's my
Yeah.
monologue.
Right. Yeah, I'll switch to my chart here. And yeah, so it's looking like the previous all-time high for the SPY is 565.16, and currently it's gapping up above that. So usually I like to pay attention to how things open all the time. So if this does open above all-time high, that could be maybe foreshadowing for the future, for maybe tomorrow, that maybe things are really going to break out now and continue higher. So I'm really going to watch that open just to see if it opens above that 565.16. And if it does, then there could be some great continuation going into the Fed meeting tomorrow, and just keeps going higher and higher for the SPY. QQQ really same kind of situation though, but it's not as bullish, right? It is going higher in the pre-market, but it's just back to what it was on Friday, exactly the high on Friday. So is that really super bullish? Not super, but it has the opportunity to go back up to the 480s, right, to the previous high back in August 22nd. But still, yesterday it did go back and test the support of the 50-day moving average perfectly. So I think that could have been just the breakout on the back test for possible continuation higher. So we'll see. I mean, it's probably just going to follow what the SPY does anyways. So I think if the SPY keeps going up, then the QQQ will as well. And let's take a look at the IWM. Yeah, that's up 219.28 pre-market. And it looks like that has the opportunity to go up as well, maybe to the previous high on August 26th, up there, maybe 222.45. But that still is going to be a resistance zone for the IWM as well. So not too sure if that's ready to break out yet. But again, if SPY keeps going up, then so will everything else. So it looks like everything is above their supports. That's the good thing. They're daily supports. So, but it's also kind of far away, right? So if it continues to go up, the daily support does sit maybe like 2, 3, 4% down, right? So that could be like a scary news narrative for tomorrow, but then that's just support, and then things could bounce from there too. So
and there's that bit of red Ichimoku cloud down there, just kind of, what if we want to test the bottom of that?
Yeah, back at 208 or something.
Yeah, it goes right back to the 50 moving average. Or what is that, your 50?
Yeah. Well, the 50 is the green, the 100 is the blue.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, maybe we got to touch the 100 there in the bottom of the grip.
Yeah, right. So if they wanted to just panic the markets just to go down 2, 3, 4%, whatever, that would be still support, and it's not a big deal in the long term. So I think all those opportunities, in my opinion, are opportunities, right? Anytime price goes back to support, I like it. Every time it goes closer to resistance, I'm a little more cautious. But when I see breakouts like what the SPY is trying to do right now, it's at 565.40, that makes me think that possibly this previous all-time high might want to be support in the future. So we'll have to pay attention to that.
Oh yeah, you always forget about that. But the test back, right? We just look for it to break above the previous all-time high. It runs for a little bit, but it has to test back to it before it can go on higher.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I do like this development a lot, especially before the meeting, because that is breaking resistance, not going towards it. So
yeah, everyone's definitely trying to position just ahead of the meeting. Like I was saying yesterday, with the tennis court analogy, after you send the ball back, you got to get back in the center to catch it whichever way it's going to go, and the market likes to do that as well. Just to let everyone know, people are typing in the comments. We can see all the comments, and we appreciate them. Here's an interesting question from John. Matt, do you think a sell the news retest is more healthy on the chart, or are they just ready to break out?
No, I think we already had that multiple times. We had the retest back here on August 5th, and we had the retest just recently on September 9th with that Friday panic, right? And that was okay. And so double retest, and I don't see a need to retest anymore because things are well above support now, and they already back tested things twice, basically within a month too.
Yeah, it seems like a third time would be suspect. It would be like all too predictable, right? So they won't do
Yeah.
that at all.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people waiting to buy dips, and so possibly that will not come. So we'll see. But unless there's like really panic, then nobody's going to buy the dip because that's what retail does. When there's panic, they run away. But somebody requested NVIDIA, so let's go take a look at NVIDIA here.
We got a bunch of requests: the NVIDIA, Palantir,
Yeah,
Tesla.
So yeah, NVIDIA on the daily chart here is basically going to open up back above the 50-day moving average. So I think it's just in a range, really. There's really nothing to fear about it right now because down here it was all, what is it going to do? Is it going to go down to 90s or go back up? And it kind of proved that I wanted to go back up. So now as long as it holds this support zone, maybe at the top of the cloud, 115 till maybe even down to the 112s or so, that could be fine. And as long as it stays above the 50, which it looks like it wants to do again today, then I think the possibility to go back up towards the 120s, upper 120s, 127, 128, 129 does exist. But again, it's still a higher low from the very top. Higher low, higher low, higher low. So for me to want to get more bullish on it, I want it to close candles above this 131.26 eventually to continue higher. But until then, it's just in a big range for me. And I can't really decide if it's going to want to break out yet or not.
And you don't really care either because you're already positioned.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter either way. So
if you're in the market, and you see a sudden dip after the FOMC minutes or whatever, don't worry. This is a bullish market. It's just going to pull back to try to shake people out. Don't get shaken out. Just stay in and you'll be fine. If you're trading, you have to have cash to be able to buy dips. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I bought this way before I started any of my like Telegram stuff or anything. So I haven't really sold any from a long time. So just waiting for confirmation that everything's over. And so far, don't have any of that confirmation. So just got to sit on my hands, just like what Danny's doing as well. So
Yep. Let's see. One more thing. If you're trading this area and you've got cash, so be prepared to buy the dip, but also be prepared to buy a breakout and a test back. So if it gets all-time high, runs a little bit, tests back to that all-time high, that's definitely probably your buy point.
Exactly. And what's Palantir was the next one, I believe.
Yep. Everyone's excited about Palantir.
Yeah, I guess there's more news on Palantir today, right? Something about, Nebraska medicine expanded our artificial intelligence. So this is what I'm focusing on the most, as I think most people are. The 786, right? Up there at 36.64. But it's going to open a day above it. So that could be trying to break above. But I'm more focused on weekly candles anyways. And so far, the week's not over. Right, so it still can go up during the week, and then maybe on Friday still close back below that 786. So that's what I'm really focused on: a weekly close above that 36.64. And if that happens, then there could be a possibility to make that a base and go up towards the 886 at 40.54. But no matter what, I think this whole zone is like a resistance zone from 36 to 40. That whole zone is big resistance, and not sure if it's going to break above this zone completely. So I cannot rule out a back test of the 33 level at all. But the news is good, but still, let's just wait till Friday to see if that $37 can hold.
I just want to comment on your chart too. I agree with Mattby. Him and I talked about this before the show. That 886 looks very attractive. Oh, no. Keep on your chart.
Oh, okay.
We'll just use your chart. The 886 looks very attractive up there at 40.54. So if you're trading this, start selling into the 36.64, but don't sell everything, right? And then just sell a little bit more as it goes higher and higher and higher. But by the time, if you're trading this, by the time you get that 886, you want to be out like, half your cash and looking for that pullback.
Yeah, I think that's in this range somewhere. I might be taking some profits that I bought in the 21s. I don't know. I think basically when you look at the previous highs too, it did have like the highest weekly candle close ever last week, right? So that's a positive. But you can see the body of this candle, that pre-market is getting pretty close to the body. So that's like around 37.25 maybe. So yeah, that could be some big resistance because that's where the body of the candle opened up back there on the 20 or in February of 2021. So going to be paying attention to that number. If we can't really close a body of a candle above it with that weekly candle, then that could be more signs it wants to go lower too. So that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. And then check out, I'll put a Palantir chart out later this morning after the show and showing you where I think it'll pull back from 886 to 618, or if it stops at 76, then it would probably pull back to the 50%.
Yeah. Yeah, just reading the comments here. Yeah, I drawn specific ranges to convey the strength and weakness of the stock. Yeah, it's always about ranges because any one specific number is rarely hit, right? You got to always just focus on a range because wicks do happen. Like prices like to wick above levels and wick below levels all the time. So that is basically a range. So I think you use ranges all the time too, right, Tesla?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Vivian says that the sentiment on CNN says that the index is at neutral, and that's what Macro to Micro 2 said, that they seem to be the fear and greed index is just slightly on the fear side, but that the general sentiment about the market seems to be kind of neutral-ish going into today.
It's kind of funny, a fear side when pre-market it's at all-time highs.
Because everyone's looking, the retail's looking down, right? They're always worried about losing money.
It just doesn't make any sense though. Like the fear would be when there's like it's near support, not when it's for retail. Usually, the fear is when it's at support, not at resistance.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Usually, it's euphoria at resistance, and people like to buy the top. But this doesn't look like a top because it's gapping up pre-market here, and it feels like it wants to start to break out more and more and more. So. Gonna watch that open a lot, but I see a SOFI request here. So I was talking about SOFI in Telegram this morning, and let's see here. Where is my SOFI chart? Yeah, so SOFI is looking like it's getting towards that resistance level again, but it's kind of the second time. So I don't know. Like I think the bottom is in. So I'm more leaning towards I'm just going to ride the trend because I think it wants to hold support now. I even feel like it went back test the 100-day or 100-week moving average, and now it's back above the 50-week. So I think all this previous resistance, I think it wants to be support now. So all it has left is this resistance above here into the 8s and maybe 830 or so. So once it gets above this range, once it makes like a higher high from this candle back in August 26th, which was 830, I think price can continue higher into the 9s. I really do, towards like these candles up here. So I think that's kind of my target, more so the 9s than the 8s, because I think it can break this easily since it's already proven that it went to back test the support and it held and it bounced very, very nicely, and now price is up again. So yeah, I might be waiting for the 9s now to take some profits on this one because I think it looks good. It looks good.
All right, cool. I've got a SOFI chart if you want to show it real quick.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So just based on the fib levels off of the all-time low of 424 here, and then this highest high up here around 1184. I'm looking for the wave 3 subwave 1 to hit 1125. So it'll just come just under where it had a previous higher high right there, and then test back down as deep as 863. Then on up to 1549, 1287, and then to 2236. So the $9 level that Matt's talking about could be like the third wave of this first wave. Could be like right around here. So look, in other words, it's already kind of got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that could be maybe not that high. Maybe, it could look something like this. Almost 10, back to test almost 9. That's it. This is just based on a wave pattern, wave extension. That's all I got for SOFI.
Yeah, and I do have, let's pull that up again. So I do have this as well, and the symmetry of it all. It's basically showing the new resistance is up there around $9 even for this week or next week at 907. So, and that actually does coincide perfectly with this resistance level here, where all these wicks above, these candles. So I think that's where I'm looking to take some profits now, because I bought in the low 7s again this time around, right around here. So I think basically, yeah, just right up here around $9 even, I think is a good target, and I think it can get above that Ichimoku this time around, but not sure if it's ready to break above this big zone right here yet. So that's going to be my temporary target. And then if it goes back to retest levels, then I'll buy again, and then for a continuation higher.
Very nice.
That's what I'm looking at there. Oh, and Mara is a request I saw I skipped over. Yeah, so Mara, I think we'll just focus mainly on the daily chart simply because it is still kind of stuck, right? Still kind of stuck. But the good news is it looks like it's going to open up a day above the baseline again. So that is going to be maybe where things hold, right? And there's plenty of room to go up to the 18s again. Even on the weekly chart here, plenty of room to go up to the 18s again. So I think that's going to be my target for Mara for the shorter term, like $18, maybe 1820s, maybe even 19 to wick above towards the cloud, right? So that is the short-term target. But I think once it gets there, it's probably not going to break through right away. It could come back down to retest levels and then maybe try to go higher again. But it looks like a nice little base is trying to be formed here. You can see that by these candles not really going lower. And finally, it's kind of a little gapping up a little bit to 1626, even above that baseline. So I think it's looking better and better for that continuation.
Yeah, Mara really took a hit over time, but maybe it's ready to come up.
Yeah, I think this morning is kind of telling us that it really wants to hold that $16 level as support, and I think shooting up a couple bucks is in the cards, and especially Bitcoin is looking like it kind of wants to hold its support too, right down here. So I think support is holding for miners, support is holding for Bitcoin, support is holding for altcoins, support is holding everywhere in every indice and stocks and crypto. So it doesn't really matter. That means things want to continue going up, I think, even if there is some scary like news narrative tomorrow, right? I think things will still continue to go up.
Oh, so. Kim Kitty says she's feeling better now. She's in the market and she's got dry powder. She's one of my favorite followers, Kim Kitty.
Yeah, that's great. Dry powder is always necessary because volatility in these markets is pretty crazy. So NU, I see a request for, and that is kind of gapping up too a little bit day over day. But what it looks like to me is just it's really near the high still. So that still is resistance in my eyes. These candles right here, these wicks, whenever I see a lot of wicks, and even yesterday there was a wick too, that just indicates to me that there's still sellers in that zone. So in order to get rid of those sellers, it's got to break above, and then they will flip to buyers to go higher. So I think just got to see if it can break that 1511. You have a chart for this, right, Tracker?
I do. I was just puzzling over it. I hadn't looked at it in a while, but go ahead and throw me on the screen there.
Yeah.
I have a wave setup that goes off of the all-time low of 326 and then to this high about at 829 and back to 661. And I did some wave extensions And so far, it looks like it got the 1, 2, it went a 382, 236, and it tried to get to 1, 2, 3, 6. Maybe I will say that it did actually get to 1382, but it pulled back pretty deep to the 618, which makes it kind of look like a leading diagonal. So normally I would say it would go to 1618, but we've already gone higher than that as well. This one's tough. This one's tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
Yeah, this one it's hard to say. Maybe I should just do a Mattby retrace here off of the 326 bottom. I've been doing more of these. It's kind of been fun.
Yeah.
Wait, and then I have to pick this one. Where'd it go? Sorry, no one's being so weird. What? Oh no, this is the one I want. Here we go. Oh, and I've got it backwards, of course. Come here. Yeah, so it's at the negative 38.2% retrace. I don't know. The next level above here, either it kind of hangs out at 1566, or it runs all the way up to 1778. Maybe 1901. This one's tough. I look for a wave 5 top somewhere in this giant zone for NU. It's a pretty big zone right now.
Yeah.
Until I get some more, maybe some minor waves out of this. That's all. Sorry, nothing really definitive for new.
Yeah, it's just near all-time high, so I need to see a breakout before I can see any more positive price action.
Yeah.
And we got another one for KGC. I'll pull that up on mine real quick here. So KGC, Kinross Gold Corporation. This one is looking like it might want to retest support, right? And that support could be in current zone, maybe a little bit lower down to the 9s, or even back down to the 921s down here where the conversion and baseline meet. So it looks like that's where price wants to retest before attempting to go higher. So I think there could be a little bit more downside, but yesterday's wick did hold pretty well there, and that could be a sign that things might not want to go lower than that. So just got to keep an eye on that. But I think the possibility to get down to the 920s is there. It's not too much further away.
Very cool. I don't have anything to say about Kinross. I don't have a Kinross chart.
Okay. And I think ATAI. Yeah, this one still kind of trying to find a bottom here, which I do kind of think it's possible just with all these lows right here. It's like support, and it's still trying to hold that level, and it's even back above the conversion line, and it wicked below yesterday. So I think it's in the process of finding its bottom right now, and it looks like the possibility to go higher is there, but how much higher? Maybe not too much, maybe even back to the 135. So it's just stuck. Can't really get too excited on it until it gets to the top of the cloud on the daily chart, and I think once that happens, that's around 143. Once that happens, I think it has the potential to go higher after that.
Yeah, this looks, to my eyes, it looks like an ending diagonal. So it does look like it's trying to bottom out here. So it's not quite as much of buying a falling knife now. You could take a small position in it and then just see how high it goes. And then once it goes up and then makes a higher high and then a higher low, I can draw a chart on it. Yeah,
exactly. At this point, it's just stuck, right? Until it can break out. So the market's going to open in 30 seconds. Let's see where it's at. It's 565.22. Is it going to open above that 565.16? We'll find out, right? The suspense is killing me now.
And just a reminder out there, I do have a live show interview on Thursday after market close, about 4 o'clock. I'm going to be interviewing the CEO of Bullfrog AI, Vin Singh. and we're going to talk about Bullfrog and his vision for the company. It is my large. Well, actually, it's been my largest holding up until recently. Right now, EOSE is my largest holding, but then it'll be Bullfrog again pretty soon here.
All right. And it did not open in all-time high territory, and that is more suspicious for tomorrow, how maybe they want to just take it down back to test support. And that could be scary for some people, right? If that did happen.
Yep. So he's saying that the SPX high is 566. I'm sorry, 5,669, and we opened under that at 5,656.
Yeah, so it didn't open at all-time highs, and I like things to open above resistance levels just to see if momentum can continue, but that did not happen. So they could easily push it back down to the 50-day moving average tomorrow, and that's almost a 3% drop, and that could scare people, right? That could scare people if that happens.
It'd be a sell the news sort of event. If you pull up my screen again real quick, here's my SPX chart. I'm going to pull this down to right here. What am I doing? I should do it from here. The all-time high. So if it retraces, maybe it goes 55.69, 56.07, and at least 55.07. But if it gets really scary and bad, it could go as low as 54.69. So I'm going to drop it right in this box. Actually, I'll put it on the top of the box. And let me tighten up this box here. And I'll publish this chart publicly for everybody, but this is where I would see SPY retreating to, at least if it's going to go down, test down.
Yeah.
It'll push at least to 55.07, maybe as deep as 54.68. That's going to push a lot of other equities down as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's in all-time high territory right now, so we'll see how it closes today. Like if it closes a bit higher in the all-time high, then it could just be maybe a back test of the previous all-time high and then continue higher. So yeah, we'll just see how it closes today. But I would have enjoyed it if it opened above the previous all-time high, but it did not. So we'll just have to take it one day at a time.
Exactly.
I see a request for CIFR and BT. So,
well, if it's okay with you, most of my followers don't really do the miners. If they do, they can stick with you. I'm going to break out and go into my my own show now. But Matt, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem. Enjoy.
You enjoy the rest of your show. You and your followers.
All right. Thank you. So yeah, so CIFR mining here. We'll just pull that up real quick. And yeah, so daily chart, it's also looking like it's trying to find a support right down here. And that support is looking, whoops. I think what happened here. Hold on one second, guys. Got to get my screen back. All right, there we go. So what CIFR mining is looking like is that essentially support is being found right here around the 293, and then that was yesterday, and now it's basically kind of stuck at a range. So I think it has the potential to go up to 343, and when you compare that to Bitfarms, really, it's kind of the same situation. So does one look better than the other? No. They look almost identical. How yesterday they went back to test their support, and now today they're actually going back down to that range as well. So it just looks like, yeah, breakout, back test of support, and stuck in a range until it's looking to go higher and higher. So maybe 213 could be the next resistance for Bitfarms, and for CIFR, the next resistance could be 343. So possibly CIFR has a little bit more room to run up to its resistance, just instead of like Bitfarms. So it could be a little bit better, but they're essentially the same. And yeah, let's just take a final look at the markets here and see that, yeah, NVIDIA is up 127. Tesla is doing pretty nicely today, trying to break above the previous Friday high and the previous Thursday high there. So we'll see. But what I'm really looking at for Tesla still today is that 200-week moving average right there. And that 200-week moving average is 235.61. I want to see a weekly candle close above it. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter, right? So we'll see if it has the potential to break that. And if it does, then I'll be really a lot more bullish. But if it closes another week in this range, then to me, it's just still stuck in that range for Tesla. But everything else is looking pretty good, right? Just as it should. And we'll be paying attention to Bitcoin price for that, miners. If the Bitcoin price can get back above 60,000, I think all these miners can continue higher too. But otherwise, they'll just be stuck kind of in a range. But what I'm really liking out of the miners is Core Z. And that Core Z is looking really beautiful for continuation right now, simply because last week closed above my resistance. This week, it just wicked down yesterday to test that and back test that resistance, kind of confirming that it wants to be support now. So I do believe that now could be the time for Core Z to go much higher and possibly even up to the $18 range or even the next level at 21. So going to really focus on keeping that 1060 support. And if it can, I think it can go much higher. So I do like Core Z a lot. How's the copper chart? I haven't even looked at copper in a long time. Let's see, copper, yeah. Yeah, I think copper has the potential to be finding a bottom right here, really. So it looks like, yeah, it has the potential to continue higher up to the 455 up there. So yeah, it looks like it broke out, found a bottom, and wants to continue higher towards the resistance above. And I think that'll be it for today, guys, because everything's just doing what it should. Let's pay attention to how this closes today, the SPY. If it can close into all-time high territories, then that could be a good sign for tomorrow. But right now, the SPY just looks like it's kind of stuck at the previous all-time high. So we'll see if it can get that daily close back above.